All of us get stuck in some way. We know there's a better way. We see other people figuring it out. In fact, he used language like this. Other people who are not as smart as me were figuring it out. Like, I should be able to do this, but he just didn't know what to do. And so we taught him what to do, and he did it. You can't buy a gym membership, go once or twice a month, and get the desired results. It doesn't work that way. You have to go consistently. You have to do the work consistently. And those who do the work consistently, that we lay out the path from 1 to 10 million. Here are the things that you do. It's proven, it's practical. Who's ever been consistent with it, quarter after quarter, month after month, week after week, doing the things that we're talking about, they start stacking wins. 18, 24 months later, we're at a place where we've tripled in revenue, we've doubled in team, it's fun, I've got some time back in my life. Like, it does take time, but it's totally doable. I've seen it over and over and over again.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast, where every week we hear an amazing story from a serious founder who built a valuable software company and did it without big funding. I'm your host, Greg Head, and this week my guest is Brett Gilliland, the co-founder and CEO of Elite Entrepreneurs, which is a coaching workshop community with great conferences, speakers, content, and frameworks for small business owners and entrepreneurs who are finally got to the $1 million revenue mark and want to keep on growing, heading over to 8 figures, over $10 million. I've known Brett for over 10 years, I guess about 15 years now, and Elite Entrepreneurs has helped hundreds of founders go through that journey from founder to CEO, from scrappy team to an organized senior leadership team and organization that does bigger things at scale. It's very figure-outable, but it's not quite obvious when you're growing a business. I would encourage all of you to listen in and check out all of the things that Brett does. These are laws of nature that cannot be defied. If you want to get to $10 million, you're going to have to deal with these things. So check it out and enjoy the conversation. Hey, Brett, welcome to my podcast, old friend, Brett Gilliland. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast.
Thank you, Greg. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, we've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah, it's been, let's say, 15 years now. We worked together at Infusionsoft. I was running marketing as we scaled it up, and I was there from about 10 million to about 100 million in revenues, and you were there before me and after me, running a lot of the leadership development over there, and now we're both helping crazy entrepreneurs create bigger things in the world.
That's right. Crazy, but awesome entrepreneurs who are out there making stuff happen, and it's so fun. It's just fun to help them along the way.
Yeah. So we both got out of the software business, and now we're into helping entrepreneurs. I say practical founders just means reasonably crazy. They're still crazy, but it's
Right.
Doesn't have to go up to 11 every single time there. Let's get started. We're going to talk a lot today about the journey from $1 million in revenue in any size, but in any kind of business, to 10 million, and what's happening in the SaaS side of things, and all the stuff that CEOs and companies need to go through to do that successfully. Let's first start with Elite Entrepreneurs, which is the business you've been running for just about 10 years. What's Elite Entrepreneurs?
So you mentioned that 1 to 10 million growth journey. That's who we help specifically. So businesses that go from that 0 to $1 million. I know you talk about that in a specific way. I would just say, from my way of talking about it, that's the scrappy, gritty founder, figure out product market fit. They figure out how to get enough people to say yes to what they're offering, and they grow to a point where now they got 6, 8, 10 people, and the business is off the ground. It's like it's officially happening. They know how to get and serve clients or customers or whoever it is that pay them. And then it's like, okay, there's a new thing where we got to figure out how to do the company building work to go from 1 to 10 million. And so that's all we do at Elite Entrepreneurs is we teach and coach business owners how to do that 1 to 10 million journey. We have a combination of method that we teach, coaching that we give on the implementation of that method, and then a community where those business owners can come together and help each other along the way.
And what exactly does that look like? I mean, is it an online thing? I know you have conferences and other things in between. I've spoken at some of your conferences back in the day.
Yeah.
How does that work?
What it actually looks like. Yeah. So we have like a main on-ramp experience that we could talk about later if you want. It's called
Yeah.
Elite Ignition. That's kind of our getting started thing, and that's just a 4-week virtually delivered. It's live, but it's virtual, right?
Hmm.
Or real time. I don't know if you use the
Yeah.
word
Yeah.
live anymore, but it's a real time, virtually delivered thing for 4 weeks. And then after that, we have an ongoing community with a membership and quarterly events and mastermind groups and individual and group coaching calls. So there's a whole program geared to help people who are making this 1 to 10 million journey.
Yeah. And it actually started inside Infusionsoft. I watched you create it, and Clay Mask, CEO, support it, and I helped contribute along the way. So I saw it. And,
That's right.
there's a lot of great methodology and tools and content that comes through the system. And what do I need to do to play this game and make it succeed? That I truly believe in. And, like Elite Ignition, is that when you're talking about purpose, values, and mission?
That's
Not just
right.
in a fluffy way, in a very precise and practical way?
Yeah. So purpose, values, mission is the framework we use for setting the vision, right? That number one responsibility of every great leader, as Jim
Yeah,
Collins would say. And
yeah.
we got a chance to spend some time with Jim Collins
Mhm.
together as a leadership team. But he would say the number one responsibility of every leader is to set the vision. And so that's the foundational piece. And we help people get really clear on their why, the purpose of their business, not just their why as a founder, but the purpose of the business, the values that they hold dear or hold sacred there at that business, and then the mission that they're up to. So purpose built, values based, mission driven companies is what we're trying to help create. And that elite ignition thing that we offer is starts with that, and then it's complemented with well, now that you got clarity, how do you get disciplined execution? So
Right.
meeting rhythms, planning, annual, quarterly planning specifically. How do we take big picture ideas and actually turn them into reality? So lead ignition is a combination of getting clear and then the process and the mechanisms for turning that clarity into reality.
Well, and I participated helping hundreds of companies, when I was helping you with this, program way back when, and it's really kind of funny. I do tell the founders, you say, "Do you have a purpose, values, mission?" Almost everyone's gonna say, "Of course." And then
Yeah.
I say, "If I ask 3 other people in your company exactly what it is, and when does it fit and when does it not fit exactly those things? Does that employee fit these values? What exactly are we trying to accomplish in the next 3 years, right? The North Star, vision, for what drives you? Almost nobody can answer that specifically unless they've done the deliberate work that, in the frameworks and it really works. I mean, so it sounds kind of content and simple stuff, but it's really practical, and it's an absolute requirement to make a bigger company, you know?
Yeah, I'm thrilled with the fact that you called what you do practical, right? Like the practical founders
Yeah,
community that you've created and brought
yeah.
together. That's been a hallmark of our approach forever. I wasn't smart enough to name it that like you were, but everything that we do, yes, it's backed by theory and concept and academics, all the stuff, but it's way beyond the ideas. It's here's the proven practical approaches for how you actually make this stuff happen in a team, in a company, in a way that's effective, not just, well, I know I should have a vision. I should do that value stuff. And yeah, we've done it, but it doesn't actually live naturally in the day-to-day
Yeah,
how we be in our
yeah,
company. And there's
yeah.
there's a big difference in the effectiveness of it when you do it right versus when you just get it done.
Well, that's a great starting point, and most of the founders in, my peer groups, and some of them are graduates of elite entrepreneurs and have come through, but most, founders in my groups would benefit by doing that deliberate work with their teams, not
Oh, I
just
love
these
that you said
the
with their team.
vague yeah, the vague vision and, osmosis that happens when founders spend time with their leaders. No, but, like, how can 2 levels down hire people to the values and know exactly what we've, co-created together? It's very precise and very important. Can you talk about, just like on that particular thing, the difference between $1 million company, software companies? I know you work with a lot of different kinds of companies, not just software, and a $10 million business, and why that in particular is really important. We'll go to some other topics.
Yeah. Well, let's start with some mindset framing. So,
Okay.
at $1 million, I actually call it the $1 million entrepreneur mindset versus the
Yeah.
$10 million CEO mindset.
There you go.
So there's a difference there. On the $1 million entrepreneur side of things, it's things like I gotta make more sales. It's very marketing focused, right? It's like grind, grind, grind.
You
And a
do
lot of
do.
those phrases start with I. I need to do this. I've got
Ah.
to focus on that. Whereas the $10 million CEO mindset is more like we need to focus on leadership. We need to have a plan that we all can see, not just I have a plan, it's clear to me in my head, but we have a plan, it's clear to everyone on paper. That distinction's important. Yeah, so going from I got to develop my marketing and sales skills to I got to develop my leadership skills, and that framing from I to we is important. The plan is clear to me and it's in my head, clear to us, and we're all aligned to it. Like there's just some mindset pieces that have to be different. So we'll start with that. I don't know if you want to talk about any of that before I talk about
No,
some
that's a
growth.
great framing, there, and, it's absolutely true. I say that $1 million business is a scrappy experiment with founders and their rock star team. They have superpowers, and they got it up, and it's amazing, and it's really hard, and especially if you're doing without funding, and, it's really, amazing. That's when product market fit starts to fit in, but a $10 million software business that's valuable, sellable, doesn't you know, the founders can have a life, still and still like the business, is more of a factory. It's a factory of customer and employee acquisition and customer value creation and improvement that the CEO doesn't need to be in every meeting,
That's right. It's
that's
a
what,
much different thing. Yeah, and key to that, Greg, and you'll remember this not just from our experience at Infusionsoft, but as you've had other experiences outside of that, and you help a lot of people through these stages right now. But one of the key things that has to happen between 1 and 10 million is the formation of a leadership team, like a bona
ah,
fide leadership team. It's really rare for businesses, software companies in particular, to get to 10 million without those really good functional leaders, right? Like I gotta have a really good product leader, gotta have a really good like customer or client success leader. Probably need like good financial leader on the team at that point, right? Like there are key functional areas of expertise that you've got to assemble the right team, and then you have to use that co-creative process that we alluded to earlier to create that vision together for what we're going to go create together. And at 1 million, it kind of be like I've hired some people that and we're scrappy and we're making it happen, but the leader is still integral to every decision. You know,
all the hats,
all the
everybody
hats,
reports
right?
to 1
It's
or
all
2 people. Yeah,
happening.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Why does that have to happen? You and I know we've seen it a million times, but like, this isn't just some theoretical thing. It's kind of the law of gravity. You can't
yeah,
be,
and
100 people all reporting to the CEO at 10 million or 50 people or whatever the number
yeah,
is.
right. Yeah, and we both know it's not a light switch moment either. It's not
Yeah,
off
yeah.
one moment and on the next. So it's one hire at a time, and it's probably somewhere closer to 3 million that this actually starts to happen. But by the time you're at 10 million, it better be in place if you want any chance of being able to keep scaling. You got to have that leadership team in place that's functioning really well as a well oiled unit to set the strategic direction and allocate resources to
Right.
go achieve whatever we're out to achieve together. So it happens with so if it's just one founder who's really good at product, let's say, it's often a common reach to go and find that revenue or customer acquisition leader, right? Like I need some help with sales or marketing. And so they go find somebody who can lead that. If they're more sales or marketing oriented as a founder, they might go get that product or technical leader to help them on the execution side or that customer success leader. So it kind of depends on what the strengths of that founder are initially, who they reach for first to add to that leadership team. But it starts to happen closer to 3 million, and by the time you're at 10, we see a fully built out leadership team most of the time.
Yeah. And to me, it's kind of a function of how many people on the team, how many employees in the company, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Because at 20, 30 people, start to need management and you separating things into groups. At 100 people, you need leaders of different groups that all can coordinate and work together. And that's generally senior leadership team 2.0, right? You had the
That's right.
first one that got to get you there, and you're kind of going that way. And what happens if you don't do that kind of thing, build your senior leadership team, or you don't want to?
Yeah, if you don't want to, which is a viable option,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just kinda say, "Okay, we've built something that we're enjoying. We enjoy who we get to serve at the level that we get to serve them, and we just sort of sit at that spot for a while. Because
yeah,
one thing we both know is the business will not outgrow the capability of the leader, if it's a founder,
yeah,
or the
yeah,
leadership team if you've started to build that leadership team. So if your leadership team collectively can take you to 10,000,000, but that's as far as that team can go, then that's about where you're gonna cap out. It's like, "Okay, we know
ah,
how to do this thing, and so we do it over and over again." Now, there are some hardcore people out there that will say grow or die, right? Like, if you're not growing, you're dying, and I believe that to a certain extent, but there's a place where people can kinda settle into, a gear, let's call it. Like, we're riding a
yeah,
bicycle, we settle into a gear
yeah.
that we like, it's doable, and we can kinda stay there for a while. But if you have any intentions to go further, then you do have to shift gears. You do have to figure out how to level up to that 2.0 version or that 3.0 version of the leadership team.
Well, I'm thinking of VC funded founders. They have to get it in gear and grow or die is the thing. And they're all in. But bootstrap founders have a choice. Small business owners who you serve, right? Have a choice. I can get it up to this. And I mean, that's kind of like the small business thing, which is we got our business up and it's working. And not every small business grows up. And
True.
so that's a possibility. But if you want to grow, we say we're at 1,000,000 and I want to get to 2 and then we'll go to 5. We hear that story all the time. It's the first move that the CEO needs to understand that they need to change and develop as a leader
Yeah.
to make this happen.
Well, we talk about Clayt, a mutual friend, Clayt Mask.
Yeah.
You'll remember this as well, but he would always say to our new employees coming in, we did this very intentional onboarding process,
Yeah.
and we would bring Clayt in to talk about some big picture stuff, but mostly to talk about the growth oriented culture that we had.
Yeah.
And he would say, "Look, I don't want this fast moving train to run you over or to leave you behind, basically." And he would say something to the effect of, "I'm not the CEO today that this company needs me to be 12 months from now. But by the time we get there, you can count on the fact that I will be." And that just spoke to his constant drive to improve himself, to push the company forward through his own growth. And I'm a firm believer that your company cannot outgrow you as a leader. John Maxwell is very famous for saying that.
Yeah.
Your company
Yeah.
can't outgrow you. So if you don't have any desires to grow, and it's no shame in that, there's no judgment around that from me anyway, then you're going to be able to grow your company to the level that you know how to do it today.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly acceptable, especially anything below 10,000,000. I think you can grow something and kinda settle into a space and a routine that you're comfortable with, as long as you can adjust to, competitive environment and technology disruptive things like AI. As long as the world doesn't crush you, right? If you can keep a place, you can run the size of company that you know how to run and not ever have aspirations to grow it more. But a lot of the business owners that I work with, and not all of them are software founders, like you said,
Right.
but
Yeah.
a lot of them that I work with start to think about, how much more valuable could my business be at the eventual point of exit if I just invested a little bit more to grow it, and they start to see the benefits of being able to bring great people on and organize the work and delegate ownership to people in a way that they can have a little more breathing room in their personal life. And so there are those benefits to growth that people still want, like some financial freedom and some time freedom. But if you've managed something that's doable for you, it's making you the money you want, you have the time that you want, it's totally up to you if you decide you want to take it any further than that.
Yeah. Well, we know founders have the math in their head that says at a certain size, I know I'll make more profits. And a certain size, I know I could sell this or not, keep on running it. So that's, like the financial side of things. But a lot of founders have it in their head that if I triple the number of employees, it's going to be a lot less fun for me. And I'm out there waving, saying, you just applying your old techniques to times 30 employees. You got to do something a little different. And it's
That's
way
right.
more fun to have 50 employees that are tuned in, and rock solid, making progress, that you don't have to do everything yourself as the founder CEO. Can you talk about the perception of founders that, having a big team means big headaches or
Yeah. More
risk?
people equals more headaches, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
that's the way that people talk about it, and I think, "Oh, I just feel bad for that founder, and I
Yeah.
feel bad for the people that work with them."
Oh.
I was just speaking to a Vistage group, you know those groups, I was speaking to one last week, and one of the guys in the room just couldn't get it out of his head that a bunch of these newer, younger generation people were just problematic. They don't really wanna work. They don't get excited about things that we used to care about, like purpose and values. He just kind of writes them off as being a pain. And I think, what a shame that he doesn't have the vision to see that he could not, and I don't mean leverage people for manipulation or self-serving reasons, but I mean like enroll people in a cause that they could all be excited about, and that we could organize work and pull together as one team to go do something special. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't people from every generation want to be part of something special? And
Yeah.
it's in our power as leaders, as
Yeah.
founders, as entrepreneurs to create a vision that's worth pursuing. We can do
Yeah.
that. And when we
Yeah.
do, the right people from every generation take note, right? And
Yeah.
some of those will be a good fit for your team and they'll
Yeah.
be all in. But yeah, I just feel bad for the companies that try some of the stuff that we're talking about but don't fully get it dialed in.
Yeah, and then they go right back, "Ah, that didn't
And then
work."
they go right
Yeah.
back, see, I knew it. More people equals more headaches. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so amazing, and I have them on the podcast, and you've seen hundreds and hundreds of these come through your program. The founder that's weighted down and, oh gosh, just a mess of, "Oh, I got it this far, and if I take a day off, it's all gonna break, and I gotta be in the middle of it in every meeting and every customer and all of that." And then slowly through, the work that you do and the programs and their growth and so forth, where they say, "We're 3 times bigger, twice
Yep.
as many employees. We're really well
Yep.
organized. It's not a fire drill every day. I
Yeah,
took a
and it's
3-week
fun again.
vacation and
It's
didn't
fun
call
again.
home, and my I get offers to sell it, and I don't wanna sell it because I like it." And we see that so often, and it's not a possibility that a lot of people see naturally because they climb up the hill to 1,000,000 and they imagine that that's what it looks like, on the next version, the next
That's
hill.
right. That's right. I don't know if you remember the name Scott Smith. He was one of the early groups that came through. He
Yeah.
built a home warranty company.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It had
Mhm.
software in there, but, he was with 2 other co-founders, so 3 co-founders, and it's not the focus of our conversation today. I'm sure you've talked about the difference between a single founder versus partners or multiple founders. But anyway, there were 3 founders and they were at different stages of life. He was the young one. Then there was one that was about 10 years older than him and one that was about 10 years older than the other guy. So, they were at different stages of life. They grew this thing to, 50 million, and it was time to exit because the older partner was like, "Yeah, I need to move on." The next partner was like, "Yeah, it's about time for me." And the third partner was like, "We just built something like it's really great. I'm having fun." But the big multiple that they got and, they exited. And to this day, I think he regrets allowing himself to like move out of that position because what did he do? Instead of enjoying the fruits of all that labor that they did
I know.
that now he's doing it again. He's trying to recreate the
Of
company
course.
he had. Yeah.
Well, we hear it almost every week on the podcast, right? Which is I did this thing. It was really fun. It got valuable. I couldn't turn down the check. And, I did my transition and I was built to go make stuff. And I'm a builder's build. And then I'd go do it again. And I'm looking to find the next opportunity. And in my peer groups of founders, we have founders that say, yeah, I'm getting this thing to 5 or 10 million and then I'm going to sell it and, I'm going to cash the check and pay off the 10 years I put into it or whatever it was. And then they do the work and get up there and then they procrastinate selling because it's actually quite fun.
They're having
And
a
some
good
people
time.
make the conversion completely, which is this is profitable and I have the money and I have the life and I have the thing that I want to work on, right? Which is what
Yeah.
Jason Fried talks about at Base Camp. And he shared that on the podcast is if you've created the thing that's awesome for you, why would you sell it to
The
have to
the goose
go
that
make
lays
it
the
again?
golden eggs, right? Why kill
Yeah.
that thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know we got off a little bit there, but the people who are like, if I triple this thing, that just means triple the weight, triple the pain, triple the worried nights and even, conversations with
Mhm.
my significant other. And I think we would both agree that it doesn't have to be that way. You can create it in a way that you actually bring amazing people on board to help you carry the load, to help you make the best decisions, to help manage all the complexity and all the parts, and that everybody involved with the business can actually enjoy the process.
This podcast is brought to you by my friends at Designly. If you're a non-technical founder with an up-and-running SaaS business, but your first product and dev partner aren't keeping up, it's time to check out Designly. Designly understands the pains you're experiencing right now. Dev leaders who speak in jargon and put you off, MVPs that went live and face technical problems and UX issues, and missed expectations all around. Designly's mission is to help non-technical software founders build great products with clarity, confidence, and peace of mind by serving as your fully outsourced engineering team. Designly becomes your trusted product partner, working with you every week as your dedicated team. They have partnered with over 200 non-technical and practical founders in the last 12 years. Designly knows how to turn that crazy product stress into calm and successful software launches. Check out their success stories from founders like you who've been there. It all starts with a free 1-week audit where they review your product's code, design, and roadmap to uncover what's working, what's broken, and what's next. Check out designly.co/practical. That's designli.co/practical to talk to them and see how they can help you move faster and sleep better. Yeah. And what a gift to your customers, your employees, your family, yourself to create something that's, the most fun you would have with other people working on stuff, right? And something it's kind of you're creating your dream job after all of that. You did all the hard work to get there. And I think what we're also saying is if you don't do this kind of work on your business work, when you get to 1 million and, you look up and say, what do I want to do? If you're headed that way, you either get stuck or mentally stuck. I can't see it above that kind of thing. And you don't get there. So, or you get there and you keep pushing and it's a mess and you go back and you keep pushing. We've seen that as well. So what are some other things in this journey from 1 to 10 million, from founder to CEO that you help your business owners work on?
Yeah, we talked about getting very intentional first.
Yeah.
We're not gonna just run this thing and try to do it better today than we did yesterday. That's a good idea, but it needs more directional clarity. We need to not
Yeah.
just we're gonna try to do it better, but here's where we're going. We've got to make
Yeah.
a choice about where we want to go. I'm an organizational behavior geek, so I see organizations is like a body, like a physical therapist or a doctor would
Yeah.
see a body with all these parts, and how do they all operate well together? If you get the clarity right, now we're just aligning all the work, we're aligning all the effort towards that stated, that desired destination. It's a matter of rhythms. It's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual rhythms to keep ourselves focused on the day-to-day operational excellence part of our business, the getting and serving of clients, while we build the future of our business. And it's
Yeah.
that little balancing act that becomes the pitfall for most businesses who don't make it work. They just get pulled into today's business and running it again and again and again, as Michael Gerber would say,
So they
doing it.
have to look up a little bit here and then, as you say, get clarity. And as they're building teams and the organization's coming together, the organization has to work together for the mission. Otherwise, it'll go in 100 different directions. So, what's involved in that cadence? Is that goal setting and meetings and,
Yeah,
those kinds of things? Or,
yeah. So let me simply say there, and I just talked about it in probably highly technical terms, but there's a in the business side of your business, right? Getting and serving of clients or
yeah.
patients or members or customers, whoever it is that pays you, you know how to get and serve those people. That's the core working in the business. And then there's the working on the business side of your business that often gets neglected. And so you use a cadence of meeting rhythms to take targeted, coordinated action,
Mhm.
both in the day to day and in the working on the business stuff. And so annual and quarterly planning are the obvious working on the business, strategic progress kind of stuff. And if your people are doing daily huddles, that would fit on the day-to-day operations, right? Daily huddles, certainly weekly KPI or dashboard meeting to just like how are we doing on those core measures. The daily and weekly is very operational. So you got annual and quarterly strategic meetings and daily and weekly kind of operational meetings. And then there's a bridge meeting that most people ignore or maybe don't know about, which is a monthly meeting. And in that monthly meeting, we're doing some working on the business, checking in on our strategic progress, and some larger operational stuff that bubbles up that we need a little space for. And so that's the meeting rhythm that I would require or prescribe to anybody that wants to do any sort of growing together. You got to have this meeting rhythm. Daily huddle is kind of optional. Some teams are like, we don't work that much together as teams. It's not that necessary to coordinate every day. Fine. Make the daily huddle thing like optional. But a weekly dashboard or KPI meeting is a must. Annual and quarterly planning is a must if you want to be strategic. And then that monthly bridge meeting between the two, really key to have. So I would say figure out the right meeting cadence to stay clear, to stay coordinated, and to stay like energized around the things that you're tackling together. So that's a key part is that meeting rhythm.
I've led larger teams than that, and we both know people, CEOs who've led massive teams. And the bigger the team, the more likely they're going to do their own thing. It's going to drift off. And so the main thing is of the CEO, main job of the CEO is to keep the main thing,
That's
right?
right.
And keep moving forward. And it's way tougher than it looks, but it's really rewarding when it happens. Get 100 people that are, the rock star people pushing something in the world. You can move an industry. It's
Yeah.
really exciting to do that. What else is there in that journey of 1 to 10 million, you know, after
So
you've got
building the
people
team.
aligned? Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about numbers. Like if you go from 10, 20, 30 people to 100, obviously there's some hiring and building the team that has to happen, but there's a lot to that. I think most people listening would agree that it's painful to get hiring wrong and
Yeah.
it's very costly, right? Like and unfortunately it happens to most of us that we get and it happens to all of us. We get a hire wrong. But there are things that you can do to significantly decrease the chances of getting it wrong, like significantly. And so I've seen this work over and over again with not just in our experience together at Infusionsoft, but in the companies that I've helped build out their hiring capability. That is a key to doing the growth journey effectively is getting the right people involved.
So, and is that just, do the right job posting, is use the right application, tracking system software and doing the mechanics of it, of the
Yeah,
execution?
obviously there's some blocking and tackling that has to happen around got to be a good job post. You got to put in the right places for people to see it. And then you got, maybe some automated filtering
Yeah.
processes so you don't have to spend too much time on every single candidate. And AI is introducing new levels of
Yes.
intelligence and automation in that process. But it's not just about that. It's actually turning your hiring process into, and you'll remember this term, Greg, a talent tractor beam is what we used to say about that. I kind of liken it to the bat signal, right? How many people in Gotham City see the bat signal when it goes up? Maybe it's not 100%, but it's visible to anybody who's looking, right? It's out there. So everybody in Gotham City can see the bat signal, but the bat signal was created to bring in one person. Like we need you. And when you get really good at creating this shared identity, is what I'll call it, between the purpose and the values in particular, when you get people who are passionate about a cause and share a set of values, you can project out into the world a bat signal for your people. And then yeah, they got to have the skills and the experience. They got to be able to do the job that you need. But you're putting together the job description can't just be your typical job description. It needs to be I call it a culture-fied job posting or a culture-fied job description. But gone are the days of putting help wanted out there and hoping, crossing your fingers that you get somebody great. That's just not an effective way to do it. So just like you write love letters to your prospective customers in the copy and ads and all the marketing that we do, we got to do the same thing when we're trying to attract our people. We got to know who they are, what kind of language speaks to them, how to draw them in. And our postings by and large fall woefully short on that front. So we got to level up the way we speak to our prospective candidates when it comes to hiring.
What you're saying is the best hires are consistent with your purpose, values, and mission, which isn't everybody, right? You
Not
literally want to
everybody.
scare away people that are not aligned with that
That's
and
right.
attract just the few that are both have the objective job skills and are great fits for the company. We know
That's
how
right.
costly bad fits
We
are.
want that magnetic quality of attraction and repelling, right? Like it attracts the piece that we want attracted and it repels the ones we don't want. And it takes some learning, but just like you learned how to go find, that product market fit, how to go find those customers that you could speak to in the way that you speak to them and they're willing to pay money to be part of what you've created. We've got the same thing going on the employment front. And then, there's other skills that we have to develop like we got to get really good at asking great interview questions so that we can discern or determine, are these people really the people who are going to be good with our team and who have the skills to do what we're trying to get done.
Mhm.
So it's not just posting for the win, right? It's posting and
Yeah.
then it's interviewing and it's setting them up for success in an onboarding process. But we need to get more clear before we ever put up a job posting. And most of us are just saying, I need a marketing manager. And we go look on ZipRecruiter or Indeed or wherever we go, and we say marketing manager, and we pull up different parts and pieces of somebody else's job postings. I like that part. I like that part. Boom, slam, done. And we put it out there, and we wonder why we don't get great candidates.
Right.
Yeah,
And that you could replay what you just said the last 2 minutes and put customer instead of employee. I need a customer, right? And,
yeah,
I would say in between 1 and 3 million, you gotta realize you're really not for most customers. There's an ideal profile. There's a subset that you actually wanna sell and everybody else you don't wanna sell. Do you spend time on product market fit, to the focusing of who you're for and all the things you could do to make something special and differentiated for that audience? Is that part of
our elite
the
program.
program and
Yeah,
in some of your
I would
other elite
say
advanced programs? Yeah.
not directly. It's
Yeah.
not our expertise, Greg. Although there's
Yeah.
definitely some similarities between product market fit kind of thinking and
Yeah.
hiring the right people kind of thinking. There's some very clear similarities. It's a different expertise that I don't claim to have. But
Yeah.
what we are really good at is helping people get clear generally about where are we going together, and often those conversations include who are we going to serve and who we're not going to serve. But that's not strategic help coming from us. That's just
Yeah.
strategic process clarity help coming from us, right? They still come up with all the right answers. We don't deal in right answers. We deal in the right process for the right people to get the right answers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the role of that darn founder or co-founders. Somebody has the title of CEO probably at a million in any type of business, including SaaS. They might have
Yeah.
other co-founders, partners in the business, but how does that role change on the road to 10 million in revenue?
Yeah. Fantastic question. It's almost like you've seen this a few times, Greg. That role changes in the focus, the number of things that they care about, and the level of we'll call it the level of let's call it the level of focus. So, and what I mean by that is we're not looking at the day to day blocking and tackling anymore. We're elevating the level of analysis, the strategic viewpoint, and so we're going from lots and lots of hats, which you talked about earlier, down to 3 specific ones that I never want you to let go of as the CEO. The first one we've already talked about is the number one responsibility of every leader is to set the vision. So that's uniquely yours to keep. You don't get to outsource or delegate setting the vision. You get to enroll the right people to help you co-create it, but you're responsible for making sure.
You're the decider. Are we for them or for that? Or is this our value or is that our value? Are we going to, what's our growth rate need to be? And are we going there?
Yeah,
What's
you're
our
helping
mission?
people get clear on those core questions. And you don't have to have all the answers yourself, but you have to know what answers are needed and then work with the team to get those answers.
Yeah, there
And,
you go.
and maybe pull in outside help to get those answers. But
Yeah,
you got to make sure the answers are found.
yeah.
And that's your number one responsibility. The second responsibility we've also talked about is build the team. You've got to
Uh,
be developing the people you have, I would say as fast as you can, as much as possible, and adding in the right players from the outside. It's a combination thing. You can't it's hard to say, I shouldn't say you can't in this world anymore, but it's hard to imagine growing to 10 million with 10 people, right? I'm sure it's been done multiple times, but most businesses are not going to grow to 10 million with 10 people. Even with the scale that is available to us in SaaS,
uh-huh,
you've got more and more customers, you need more and more people supporting, and you need more developers, and you need, like,
uh-huh.
there's just a thing where you need more people to serve more customers and get more revenue. So, build the team is the second thing that you hang on to as a $10 million CEO. It
And
was your.
do you mean by that the senior team? You hire the people that hire everybody else, and you're not, you're maybe
Yeah.
involved, but they're responsible, right?
I mean, all along the way. So at first, it's you hiring everybody that reports to you who might not be leaders, and then as
Uh-huh.
your organization structure builds out, it's still hiring the people who report to you, and
Okay.
those would be leaders over time, and then they're
Yeah.
hiring people below them.
Right.
But if they're doing a horrible job hiring people below them, that's still on us, right? As the leader, we have to figure out how to put the right leader in place who's going to build the right team. So if one of our leaders that reports to us isn't getting it done around the building the team aspect of their role, like, we either got to help them do that right, or we got to move them out because that's going to hold us back, right? So
Uh,
it's the effective building of the team at large, whether it's your direct reports or their direct reports, but then it's specifically the people that report to you. Yeah.
yeah.
And then the last responsibility that every CEO has on his or her shoulders is to get the resources. And for us practical founders, that means we got to make sure that we can see the revenue that the revenue that we're going to bring in is going to be able to fund everything that we have on our plate that we want to do. And
Cash.
we gotta have cash. Yeah. We can't run out of runway when we're
Yeah.
trying to do the thing that we're doing. So, yeah, set the vision, build the team, get the resources. We gotta have that. That's our
So
job.
you can't delegate fundraising or making sure we have enough in the bank account to your accounting team or your CFO. You
I
can't.
mean, you can delegate the execution of tasks, the objective to go, if I have a CFO and I'm like, "Yeah, we need to go get a line of credit." Of course, I should be able to turn to that CFO and say, "Hey, go work relationships with the bank and get us a line of credit." But ultimately, if that CFO fails to get that and your company goes under because you didn't make sure we were going to have the resources. That's still on us as
Yeah.
the CEO.
Yeah. So those are really important things that can't be delegated. But you're really saying everything else that you used to do, you used to run payroll, you used to, have the banking relationship, you used to make decisions about bugs, which bugs to fix, and, all everything else. You're saying eventually you don't do that on the front line anymore.
You don't. And one thing we haven't talked about yet, Greg, there's a mechanism that, hate it or love it, it's super effective to ensuring that every role in the company knows what's expected from that box.
Oh.
That a box on an org chart is there because there's a body of work. There's a set of responsibilities that we need done consistently. So we say we're to the size or the point in our growth where we need somebody to do this thing, and we put a box on the org chart and we give it a title, and then we post a job out there and we find somebody we think is going to own the box, and we put them in that box, and they are responsible for making sure that is done. And most of us as founders fail to give clear, like crystal clear ownership of the box. And, we can't quite let go as easily. But if
So
we
it's
get clear,
fuzzy, and then it's really they don't have the total responsibility. It's a setup when you do that.
yeah. And then it's just subjective. It's like, hey, I see that person showing up on time or even early. They seem to be busting their tail. I kind of like the way they're working with my team members. Is it going well? I think so. But unless we have clear, measurable expectations for every box, it's
Ah,
really hard to fully let go of all those other hats that you were talking about. So
yeah,
there is a relatively easy or simple, I should say, mechanism to line up effort to the high level goals of the company through cascaded measurable objectives for every single box on the org chart. And then you can actually let go and say, Greg's got that marketing box. I can let him. Greg's better than me at marketing. He can own it, but we both know what's expected. We know how it's
yeah,
measured. We know if he's winning or not. It's completely given to Greg. Now he
yeah.
has it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, with Clate. I took over the marketing team. There's about 10 or 15 people in it, and they all said, "Everybody in the company visits us every day and tells us what to do in marketing." I said, "Well, that's gonna stop. It'll take a couple of weeks." And they said, "No, it'll never stop, and Clate just wants to run marketing." I said, "Trust me, Clate doesn't wanna run marketing. He just wants to know." And it took some work, and, I learned some more things about the business, and so, he learned about what's working, and we did both things. And it wasn't news to me that I had to deliver leads to the sales team every day and figure out where we needed to be next year and move us that way at the same time, 2 jobs at the same time. So I totally get that. It's really amazing for CEOs. It's actually kind of hard to imagine. Scrappy founder involved in it. This idea came out of their brain, their mouth, and we're all making this up. You and I know that they know
Yeah.
that we know that they're making it up,
It's a
and
creative
then
thing. Yeah.
yes, it's a created thing. It's hard to imagine them saying, "I'm gonna be happy being the CEO where I'm not doing all the stuff, and, I I'm feeling good, I could take vacations," and we know CEOs that take vacations and they delete Outlook and Slack, for the week,
Yeah.
and they're okay, which is an exercise for the team in responsibility. Can
Mhm.
you just give some stories about what it feels like on the other side when, there's a lot of work involved in learning and growth and
Yeah.
letting go. But what is it like when you're the CEO of a team that's aligned and making progress?
You'll remember the name Bill Harney.
Oh,
Um,
Bill, of course.
yeah, I spoke to him earlier today, coincidentally, and he wrote me this letter one time. It was kinda like a testimonial, but it was creative. He said, "I wanna tell you what it's like from the other side." He almost used the exact same language that you used. So he said, Before Elite," and this doesn't have to be about Elite, "before doing this company building work that gave me this nirvana place later, right? I was working 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was missing. I knew there was more, but I didn't know how to get there. I knew I needed help. I felt like I had to, if I really wanted something done right, I had to do it myself." Like all the classic stuff, right? He's
yeah,
like, "I am stuck," is basically what he was saying.
yep.
And then now let me tell you what it's like from the other side. He said, I'm enjoying the journey. My team has leveled up. Everybody's growing. We're having fun. Like, I no longer am stressed out about how this is all going to happen. We can see a clear vision together. We're completely aligned. And my growth has changed me forever is the end of
Yeah.
his little write-up.
Yeah.
And, he said, what was different? And, he was talking about our program. So he talked about Elite Ignition, but he said, basically, I learned and I implemented. I didn't give up. And I think there's a key. All of us get stuck in some way. We
Yeah.
know there's a better way. We see other people figuring it out. In fact, he used language like this. He's like, other people who are not as smart as me were figuring it out. Like, I should be able to do this, but he
Yeah.
just didn't know what
Great.
to do. And so we taught him what to do, and he did it. So a lot of this is go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't buy a gym membership, go once or twice a month and get the desired results. It doesn't work that way. You have to go consistently. You have to do the work consistently. And those who do the work consistently, that we lay out the path from 1 to 10 million. Here are the things that you do. It's proven, it's practical. And Bill and every other business owner who's ever been consistent with the work, and we talked about a lot of it today on the episode, who's ever been consistent with it, quarter after quarter, month after month, week after week, doing the things that we're talking about, they start stacking wins. And, Jim Collins talks about the flywheel turning. It starts to
Oh,
turn.
yeah.
You start building momentum. They stack wins quarter after quarter after quarter. Not just sales wins, sales goals, which I love, by the way. Huge fan of those. But they start stacking wins on the company building work so that tomorrow's work is a little easier, or we can
Yeah.
serve, a few more customers than we used to be able to. And we just start stacking wins, and all of a sudden we're at a place, all of a sudden, 18, 24 months later, we're at a place where we've tripled in revenue, we've doubled in team, it's fun, I've got some time back in my life. Like, it does take time, but it's totally doable. I've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And show me a founder with $1 million in revenue in the software game that I know, and I talk to a lot of them, and I'll show you that they're tied to strapped to the mast, and they have superpowers, and they're weak in other areas, and they're getting through it, and they've got a little rock star team. It's hard to tell which ones. Not that I'm an investor, but which ones will make it to 10 million, right?
Yeah.
Most of them won't, but out
Yeah,
there.
most of them
But
won't.
show me a CEO of former founder at 1 million who made it to 10 million. I'll show you that they have delegated most of the things they used to do day to day. I'll show you they have a senior leadership team that's competent and capable and works together. I'll show you that they have an agreement about what they're creating in the next 5 years, 1 year, this today, right? And they're not running around random. I'll show you that they stay in line with that in some way, right? Some meeting or communication cadence. There's all that normal stuff that's there. It's never not there, Brett.
It's never not there. That's right.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you see somebody on the street, you can tell they've been to the gym consistently. They got those biceps, they got those calves. They
Yeah.
they did the work. They did
Yeah.
it. It's never
Yeah.
not there. You
Right.
can't you
You're
can't
also
take
saying
a
it's figure outable.
it's figure outable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's figure outable. And you too can have the before and after picture, right? You
Yeah, that's
can
right.
you
Yeah.
and you could yeah, it's available to all of us. And we're
Yeah.
laughing because, neither one of us is the strongman specimen. But
Yeah.
but you stay fit. I know you have exercise routine, but if you
Yeah.
go away from that, you don't have the level of fitness that you have. And that's just the law of it's like a law of nature. Like, you don't get the outcomes without doing the work. The work is knowable and it's doable. And you're like, well, I don't have time to do all that. Well, yeah, because you're filling your time with the things that got you to where you are. And
Mhm.
if you want to do something new, that's the first place to start. How are you investing your time? It's
Yeah.
really the first thing to do. And
Right.
once you
What
start
we
to
got.
change how you invest your time, you can start changing you, what you get. Like, it's just that simple.
Well, you talked about the beginning with your Elite Entrepreneurs program. How many founders are in the program at any given time?
It varies. Today we have 25. I think we have about 25 founders in our ongoing membership programs.
Yeah.
Over the past You said about 10 years earlier. It's actually been 14 years if you
Yeah,
believe
there we
that.
go.
Over the past 14 years, we've served hundreds of
Yeah,
seven-figure business owners.
yeah,
So, will it go up from where it is now? Probably. That's probably gonna happen, but it ebbs and flows, and it's less about the number of people that we have in the program and more about the kinds of things that those people are willing to do, that
yeah.
others are not willing to do. So,
There you go.
yeah,
And what does your ongoing program look like? I know you have an annual conference and you do meet in person quarterly and you have speakers and
we meet
content
in
and
person
yeah.
quarterly. Yeah, so the ongoing is a combination of content or method, the coaching to on the implementation of that method, and then a community of other business owners who are on that journey with you. So
Mhm.
we have quarterly 2-day sessions where we've got speakers, we've got workshops, and we have our mastermind groups that are
Uh-huh.
meeting together every quarter. And so that happens every quarter. Every month, I do individual coaching calls with the founders in our community. And every week, I do group coaching calls for any of the founders. Because this is a team sport, scaling a business is a team sport, I do group coaching calls for leaders of our members twice
Ah,
a
right.
month, just to
Mhm.
try to level up their leaders as well. So it's monthly mastermind groups, quarterly events, monthly coaching, twice a month leadership coaching, and weekly group coaching. So there's a membership site with content. There's just a full
Yeah.
program of resources that help people on that journey.
It isn't just content. There's coaching, and they're not doing it alone. They're in the room, working on their businesses together and seeing others that have been through it and are
Yeah.
facing the same challenges. Isn't it funny how the founders come in and they got all this really difficult stuff and it's weighing them down and everything, and then they see literally everybody else in the room had the same thing, and by peer groups, the new founder comes in and then realizes nobody else paid themselves for 3 or 5 years, till they got the
Yeah.
business going, and it's kind of a relief. Nobody in my neighborhood does that, but I guess this is normal. So, totally appreciate that experience.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about, you quoted a few books, Jim Collins'
Yeah.
books and others there. I know you're a reader. There's a lot of laws of nature here that can't be defied
That's
in the
right.
business growth game. Can you share some of the books you love and the people in your group love that would be just a good recommendation for people who are saying this is interesting and
Yeah.
start with those books. If you love those books already, then you'd probably be a good fit for elite entrepreneurs.
Yes. I'll start with the ones that would be more, I guess, popular or more notable or recognizable. So
There we go.
Jim Collins' books,
Yeah.
but one that most people would not recognize that he wrote is called Beyond Entrepreneurship. It was his very first book,
Yes.
and it was and his most recent one because he wrote an updated
Oh.
version of it called BE 2.0. So it's
Ah.
literally called BE 2.0. So again, most people will not have heard of either of those books. They would have heard of Good to Great and Built to Last, and is more popular books. But for the practical founders listening to this, Beyond Entrepreneurship, either the original or the BE 2.0, highly recommend those. Patrick Lencioni is a name. He has a consultancy or a company called The Table Group, and he wrote books like The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. If you're trying to figure out how to bring a cohesive leadership team together, Five Dysfunctions of a Team. The Advantage is his organizational effectiveness version, and one called The Ideal Team Player. Like, we all got to figure out how to hire great people. What does that look like? So I love Patrick Lencioni's stuff as well. And then a couple that wouldn't be as well known. I'm a student of human behavior in all of this, and my favorite books for those come from two little consultant think tanks. One of them is called the Arbinger Institute,
Oh,
and
sure.
you'll recognize the book Leadership and Self-Deception.
Yeah.
They wrote one more recently called The Outward Mindset. The Arbinger Institute stuff is great. And then there's one on on personal or organizational change. There's a group that used to be called Vital Smarts, and now they're called Crucial Behaviors. I don't know. I'm getting that wrong, but the book that I love the most for organizational change is called Influencer, and then they have a personal change version called Change Anything. So those would be the ones that I'd just toss out today. A lot of other ones, but we'll go with those.
Brett, do you think those laws of human nature, how we act as individuals and how we act together as organizations, do you think those are going to fundamentally change in any way as AI helps, empowers every employee, and maybe we have AI employees, next to us someday? Do you,
Yeah.
do you have a theory about how this is going to evolve?
My theory is that humans are humans are humans, and
I know.
while the
Isn't
context
it
we
unfortunate?
yeah. Well, and isn't it wonderful at the same
Yeah,
time,
I know, of course.
right?
Yes.
Because, look, human behavior is pretty consistent. At the core, we wanna survive, right? Like,
Yeah.
and Maslow's hierarchy, there's some classic models around this stuff that I think they just hold the test of time, and the 7 habits of highly effective people,
Yeah.
Stephen Covey thing. There's just some principle-based, long held or long proven truths out there that humans are humans. And so,
Yeah.
yes, our world will constantly change and shift, but the underlying dynamics for people don't change.
There
Human
we go.
beings wander, we forget, we get distracted, we all the things, right? And so our job as CEOs is to help them remember, come back to true north. Let's be inspired again by that thing we all love doing together, the purpose behind it. And
Mhm.
let's remember these values that we have and the specific destination that we're charging towards together right now. That's why that setting the vision is so important. And I don't care if you're talking to a boomer, which my kids like to call me, even though I'm not a boomer, but I'm older, so they call me boomer, or Gen Z or Gen X or millennials. It doesn't matter, in my
Yeah.
opinion. There may be different tendencies in each of those generations, but people are people are people. And there are fundamental things about people that don't change. And the more that we master those as leaders in our companies, the better we will be at building the teams and achieving the results that we want.
Well, I'll leave it at that. Way to put a bow on it, Brett. Very nicely said. And I agree with that. I've been doing this a long time, and I keep sorting what's changing in the world and what hasn't changed. And it's all the human stuff that isn't changing. Positioning and the communications game and how organizations work and how our individual brains, psych ourselves out for all the old fashioned reasons. The new tactical environment that we live in, social media and everything else. It's the same stuff on steroids. So really appreciate that. Thanks for sharing some of that insight of the journey from 1 to 10 million. Many of the founders here are listening are going through that. And it's probably a relief to them to know that those are the laws of nature, but only always,
But
as we
only
used to
always.
say.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the Practical Founders podcast, Brett. How can people find you and Elite Entrepreneurs?
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you. Yeah, any seven-figure business owner who has aspirations to grow the thing that they've so capably built to this point, they can find us at growwithelite.com. That's growwithelite.com. And check out our Elite Ignition program. That's our getting started thing, where we can help you get really clear with your team on purpose, values, mission, and then help you figure out how to turn that clarity into reality through the right planning and execution process.
Okay, and of course, you're on LinkedIn, but,
Absolutely. On
again,
LinkedIn.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
thanks again. We'll have the links in the show notes on the, Practical Founders website. Great to see you again. Great to compare notes and hear some of the stories and updates. Thanks for being on the podcast, Brett.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Greg.
Thanks for watching this week's interview on the Practical Founders podcast. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the Practical Founders YouTube channel to keep up with my weekly in-depth interviews with serious software founders who are building valuable software companies without big funding. You can check out my blog, all the podcast episodes, and information about my Practical Founders CEO peer groups at practicalfounders.com, or message me on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. See you next week.